Hello, this is James. I wanted to show you what I've done with my tank. As you can see, this is my the old tank, the one that I posted a video of before. It was about 9 gallons or about 40 liters. And there was a bit of an algae problem because I had a really loose sediment and very strong lighting for a small tank. You can see it had kind of a bowed front, which is kind of neat. Not bowed, but angled front, which is kind of neat. But it just was kind of a disaster as my first real attempt at a planted tank. Far too much algae. So I went ahead and I upgraded with the exact same light, 30 watts, just a standard light. I've got about 90 liters. The tank is about 45 centimeters deep. I'm not entirely sure how much that is in inches, maybe around 24. I'm not sure. And it's a perfect cube, 45 by 45, 45. And I'm really a fan of the shape because it allows there to be two main angles from which to view it. Filtration, it's got a Fluval 106, which obviously is a bit of overkill for a 20-gallon tank, but I've got it throttled kind of up rather than having it going full bore. And Fluval just makes the best canister filters. I figured it'd be better to have the best. There's a CO2 system that I just got a few weeks ago, which is definitely an upgrade over the do-it-yourself thing I had, which didn't even have enough pressure to run an air stone. I had to use a bit of a wooden chopstick. The heater's on in there, but it's never actually turned on. It's the lighting and the temperature of the apartment's more than enough to keep it actually a little higher than I'd like. In terms of aquascaping, there's a large piece of some sort of rock, which is really pretty actually. It's got some veins in it. It's got quite a bit of detail, as well as 2 big pieces of driftwood. In Korea, you wouldn't believe how cheap the driftwood is. Malaysian driftwood. Every aquarium store has it piled high, maybe 2-3 feet high, and you pretty much just name a price. I got these 2 large, pretty detailed pieces of driftwood, lots of knots, lots of crevices, lots of holds, for maybe $8 US, which is ridiculous. There's some other rocks down there, and I know it's kind of considered a faux pas to make the detail of a tank in the center, but I really wanted something that you could see from 2 different angles, looking at the tank from this angle, looking at the tank from this angle, and kind of see something a little bit different, but still have it be a focal point of the tank. And I feel like I accomplished that more or less. In terms of fish, you can see there's quite a few Otto Cats. There's 4 in there doing their thing. You can see one on the rock over there, just kind of chilling. He was eating a little bit ago. You can see one eating off the CO2 diffuser. There's a couple others all swimming around. They mostly do their job, you know, they're very active. And it seems like they're not really nocturnal or diurnal, they just kind of always going whenever I look in the tank. You can see he's going off again. And of course I've got my Betta, which is the original inhabitant, along with some shrimp, which sadly passed. His name, it's the best name anyone's ever made for a Betta. If you disagree, I'll fight you. It's Weebay from The Wire. And I'll have you know that I actually contacted the guy who acted as Weebay and told him the name of this fish, and he seemed pretty enthused about it and posted it on his Twitter. So if you get that reference, that's great. You'll agree with me it's the best name ever for a Betta. If you don't get that reference, turn off this YouTube. Don't use your computer for anything but watching The Wire. Take a few days off school, whatever. You need to watch The Wire. In terms of plants, a lot of these plants are actually just placeholders. You can see that moss ball back in the corner, that's gone as soon as I get what I really want. The Amazon sword in the back, I mean, I may keep it. It's a nice healthy plant and it looks good, but probably get rid of it. The Java fern over here, that's probably gone. And the hairgrass that's in the foreground, that's staying. I'm hoping that grows out. I only bought 4 or 5 pieces for the old tank, and as you can see, I ended up with quite a bit. So it's healthy, it's spreading, but you know, this tank's only 4 or 5 days old. And before you say, you know, you're an idiot putting plants in here, this is actually all substrate from the old tank. It's got quite a bit of bacteria in it. The filter's also been established for 3 or 4 months as well. Now the plant in the background over there, the yellow and green one, is the plant that I'm actually planning on making the dominant plant of this tank. I believe it's a Hygrophilia. I'm probably horribly mispronouncing that. And the Betta is just desperate to stay in camera here. He's such a ham. It's a nice stemmed plant. It has very interspaced leaves and nice and narrow, and I'm hoping to kind of use that plant for the entirety of the background, just covering around these, going around these corners, growing up hopefully right to the surface of the tank. And my plan for the midground and the foreground is actually to space out some of a plant that I haven't been able to find yet, and I'm hoping that I'll find soon. It's called a posia, or purple bamboo. It's a very, very, very thin plant with very, very interspaced leaves, like these Hygrophilia in the background, but even farther, like every 6 inches or so. And what I'm hoping is that it'll continue to grow right out of the tank and sort of turn the tank into a kind of vivarium tank sort of crossbreed that will kind of allow it to look less like, you know, a small little cube in the corner of the apartment and more like an actual part of the apartment. That's in the long term. I need to hit up a bunch of fish markets and try and find the actual thing first. You can see I've got some frog bit up there too, trying to suck up excess nutrients. I'm thinking about maybe shrimp, maybe some more Otto Cats. I haven't decided. I've got kind of a coarse sediment here, so anything that likes to burrow or dig is probably out, and it'd probably tear up a Corridora's mouth or a loach's mouth. I mostly did that just because I didn't want it to settle in between the eco whatever knockoff that they have here in Asia. And that's my tank, and I hope you like it. I believe that Weebay likes it. I'm not entirely sure, but I think he's probably the most spoiled beta in Korea. You can see him over there chilling. He loves that frog bit. He can't stand the current from the larger filter, so he kind of hangs out in the frog bit and relaxes. It's a very lazy fish. And that's my tank. I hope you like it. I hope the algae doesn't take over this one as well.